Ladies and gentlemen, on this Memorial Day, I want to first say God bless the soldiers, the veterans, the people in the United States military, and their families. Whether you served in Iraq or Afghanistan or Vietnam or Korea or World War II, God bless you. Or any other conflict in between or war in between, God bless you and your families. Thank you for everything that you've done for our country and all the sacrifices that you and your families have made. And obviously, to the people who lost loved ones, this day is in honor of just the untold sacrifice that families and that soldiers, men and women, have made for this country. So God bless you. Stay safe and have a happy Memorial Day. Trump says Republican National Convention might move from Charlotte. No other city wanted to host it. President Donald Trump. That's not true. Trump says Republican National Committee might move from Charlotte. No other city wanted to host it. That's not necessarily true. I don't know what the headline, I don't know if they're trying to paraphrase something President Trump said, but President Donald Trump has threatened to scrap plans. This is one of the reasons I love Trump. In addition, the main reason that Trump is such a great president, in addition to going after very corrupt intelligence officials that set up and framed him with a dossier that Clinton purchased. And Hillary Clinton will be the nominee, like I've stated since 2017. Share my Huffington Post article and my Times of Israel article below. Hillary Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. And also, Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee. Those are the two articles I've written. I've written another one on the subject also in the Times of Israel. But Clinton's going to be nominee. Trump has gone after corrupt intelligence officials that set him up and framed him with a dossier of nonsense and gossip that Clinton purchased and the DNC purchased. Then, of course, there's a CrowdStrike CEO that Democrats outsourced. So I don't know how media or the United States government would allow a political party to literally pay for an investigation into their direct political rival. But that's one of the reasons that I like President Trump, in addition to the fact that he just signed a deal ending, this was in late February, early March, ending America's longest-running military conflict in Afghanistan. And nobody's talking about it. So he's reversing 16 years of failed foreign policy from Bush to President Obama. But the other reason, and he's the first president to step foot in North Korea, but the other reason that I enjoy Trump so much is that he goes up against the most duplicitous and disingenuous people. The governor of North Carolina the governor, a Democrat, can't commit because he's saying that, well, we're going to go by science and data. What is the mortality rate? Does anyone know what the mortality rate? According to Scott W. Atlas in The Hill, and this is a phrase you will not hear. So the article is, the data is in, stop the panic. Scott W. Atlas, stop the panic and end the total isolation. The mortality rate, this recent Stanford antibody study now estimates that the fatality rate, if infected, is likely 0.1 to 0.2%, a risk far lower than the previous World Health Organization estimates that were 20 to 30 times higher and that motivated isolation policies. They tanked the entire economy based on projections that they eventually revised downwards. That's a whole other story. But Governor Cooper's office has responded to the threat with a spokesperson asserting that the state would work to continue with Republicans on planning the event, but would also rely on data and science to protect our state's public health and safety. He's going to move the convention, I hope he does, to another state. I really hope he does. Trump says Republican convention might move from Charlotte. I'm sure that there are many other cities that want to host it. And if it's not full attendance, if it doesn't have full attendance, so you'll have the Democratic convention that will nominate Hillary Clinton, and they'll be 50 feet apart wearing hazmat suits, and the the swimming pool foam just to make sure that everyone's spread out. And then you'll have President Trump and the Republican National Convention, and there will be people there just like a normal convention. In 1957, ladies and gentlemen, under Eisenhower, we had 116,000 Americans who lost their lives from the flu. In 1967, under LBJ, we had a little over 100,000 Americans who lost their lives from the flu. There's zero historical context with any of this. Zero when the New York Times journalists and the Washington Post journalists and all these journalists, I am about the same age as they are, late 30s, early 40s, but they lack context. They lack historical knowledge. They lack historical context, knowledge of history. They lack perspective that we could have simply tackled this crisis in a way that kept 35 million people from possibly being homeless. Because if you're unemployed in this work environment and you didn't save money, or most Americans have not saved enough to live 4, 5, 6 months without a paycheck. And the stimulus is not going to help out in the long run. In the long run, you need a stable source of income. This has been devastating for people throughout the country. The cure, if you want to talk about, look, we can go into, you want to talk about medical ethics, have oncologists and cardiologists develop legislation for society that bans fast food, bans alcohol, bans smoking. Hundreds of thousands of Americans lose their lives every year from heart disease, from cancer, related to smoking, from alcohol-related illnesses, drunk driving. The damage to society. If you want to save lives, ban alcohol tomorrow. How many domestic violence, domestic abuse, altercations are because of alcohol? How many people lose their lives because of alcohol? And then when they say, well, you open up the economy, people lose their lives. If you open up society, there are 30, 40 different ways to lose your life every day. Democrats don't care about that because this is despicable. They're hiding behind the notion that, well, if we open up the country, people will lose their lives. They don't care because they had hundreds of thousands, millions of people vote in person in Illinois, in Florida, in Arizona, in Wisconsin during the pandemic. And March 14th, it wasn't mandatory to wear masks. So, they're bluffing as usual. But you look at the total of lives lost. New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and Michigan are well over half of all the lives lost in this country. 4 states, over half, and 3 states, New York, New Jersey, and Michigan, are almost half. It's like 48, 49%. And then you add Michigan. These are 4 states, 4 Democratic governors, 4 Democratic, or 2 at least Democratic, 3 Democratic machines, or 4, run by Democrats. And so North Carolina, if you want to compare, New York has 29,138 people who lost their lives, many of whom were old age homes forced to accept infected patients. And obviously the flu and this crisis affects people of older Americans with pre-existing health conditions, with immune system conditions. And the genius, Andrew Cuomo, who stated on March 1st, the risk remains low. So notice how nobody, go and look up the tweet. On March 1st, he said the risk remains low for the people of New York. And now there are 29,138 people who lost their lives. And he put people who had the disease or who had the virus in old age homes. But you look, and North Carolina is far down the list. They have a little over 700 people who have lost their lives. Okay, 780 people compared to 29,138 people. And the governor of North Carolina is, we have to take it slow. We can't let you know if your convention, your August convention will allow it to be to capacity. This is obviously political. He doesn't care. You cannot say in that North Carolina is this. If this was in New York, fine. Even I'm going to say if it's in New York, you don't want to have conventions in New York because New York has, whether it's a virus that isn't the same virus around the country, or whether there are conditions within New York that other states don't have, or whether it's just a Democratic machine run by Schumer, de Blasio, Cuomo, who knows? But there's something with New York that has made it the epicenter in the entire planet. And I love how Cuomo gets away with everything, and Whitmer in Michigan and Pritzker in Illinois, they get away with everything. Those 4 states, Illinois, New Jersey, Michigan, and New York, over half of all the lives lost in the entire country. Now, if that was the case with red states, they would say it's a red state issue. But the media, as we've seen with Biden, who literally told 40 million African-American, black Americans that they are not black if they do not vote for him. If Trump said this, it would be the worst. It would hear the indignation and the outrage throughout the galaxy, throughout the universe. But if immediately, like some kind, you want to talk about an authoritarian society. The true authoritarians are Democrats. The Orwellian world where they blame Russia for their own problems and they worship Big Brother, and immediately when Biden says something horrendous like he usually does, but more horrendous than anything anyone has ever heard, articles in the Washington Post, articles in CNN, damage control. And then Trump retweets something. Oh my God, he retweeted. Oh my God. And so they're going to lose again with Clinton. I told you, how many times have people been saying, have you heard now, well, it's a brokered convention, there's not going to be Biden. I told you this in 2017. And I kept telling you it's happening, folks. It is happening, folks. Tell your friends to watch this channel. Tell your friends to watch H.A. Goodman's other channel. That's below in the pinned comment as well. Tell your friends to watch Bizarro World Goodman. I have a great segment on you ain't Jewish if you don't vote for Biden. But North Carolina does not have the problem that New York has. Doesn't even have the problem that Illinois, Michigan, or New Jersey, or a whole bunch of other states have. They have one of the least severe cases. And I don't want to, when you talk about one life lost is too much for anything, especially from drunk driving, especially from overdoses of prescription drugs. Ban all the pharmaceutical drugs that cause overdoses. Ban alcohol. Ban smoking. Give society to doctors. Have them legislate what you eat. Nutritionists. This is all the notion that they care. The notion that Democrats care about the well-being of the citizens of their states. When Republican governors are trying to open up, when Trump is saying, okay, let's open up, and Democrats are saying, well, not so fast, we care about the welfare, then why are liquor stores open? Why are liquor stores open? Because, like I said, look at the lives lost from alcohol, smoking, fast food. You can go ahead and you can look at American society and dissect it and legislate daily behavior through the lenses of cardiologists and oncologists and podiatrists if you're not wearing the right shoes. I mean, you can go ahead and you can look at the science and the data. But that's not the way we live life. Unfortunately, it's been the way we live life now. President Trump is pushing back on this, and he says, if I don't have a normal convention, because people are going to survive the convention in North Carolina or anywhere else, if they're healthy and they take precautions, and they don't lick the toilet seat at the convention center or, lick people's hands, and they're healthy, and they don't have pre-existing immune system issues, or they're not like 90 years old or 80 years old, the chances are that if they're a healthy adult, the mortality rate is around 0.1 to 0.2%, according to the Stanford study. Let's say it was Cuomo in New York said it was about 0.5% mortality rate, meaning you had a 99% chance of surviving. Have you ever heard that from the news? No. But this is what Andrew Cuomo stated. When he said there was a 0.5% mortality rate, it means 99% if you're a 30 to 40-year-old, even 50-year-old healthy man or woman, healthy, you have a 99% chance of surviving. Sorry, Democrats. That's the science and the data. So let's see what the governor of North Carolina does. I think that President Trump should move to any state that really, really wants to make it the biggest convention ever. Have people as safe as possible, because you have a 99% chance of surviving, even if you do get it. And if you're a healthy adult, from your 20s to your 40s, possibly even 50s, depending on how healthy you are. And, take precautions. We should have allowed people to work. We should have allowed people to work so we wouldn't have to tank the entire economy. But guess who has the political motive? Guess who said, vote because it's your God-given right to vote for Biden, so Biden can then pretend that he's running and give it to Clinton and not work? Who said that? And voters will reward. Let's put it this way. Voters in November will remember everything that took place. And I think that President Trump is going to win, not just because of the fact that we had record low unemployment before all of this, but because people know this is not his fault. And they know the people who want to keep society shut down are Democrats. And it's not because they care about lives, because if they did, they wouldn't have primaries with millions of people voting during the pandemic. Give me your thoughts below. Have a safe and happy Memorial Day, everyone. I will be obviously having a great live stream this evening like I usually do. I wanted to do this upload because this is amazing. President Trump is pushing back on the hysteria and the paranoia. He's going to have a normal convention. If everyone wants to look like bank robbers and have masks and everything at the Democratic convention, wear hazmat suits, they can go ahead and do that. The whole thing's a charade anyway. The whole thing was about Hillary Clinton anyway. Read my Huffington Post article written in 2017, February. Read my Times of Israel article published the other day. Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Tell everyone you know. Almost certainly 99.9% of them will not know who I am, but tell them that H.A. Goodman stated in 2017 Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee. It's the biggest political call of all time. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you tonight. I'll have a live stream by around 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. Pacific this evening. Thank you.